Hello.
Hi, Shannon.
Look at our school spirit. Yay, MIZ. Literally, Sarah Trott, where you at? MIZ.
I mean, not at the Women Tell All. That's where she wasn't.
Honestly, really though, why wasn't she? It actually bothered me that she was not
I
there.
kind of wasn't surprised only because so this was filmed already. This was obviously filmed prior to
February
Monday,
4th.
but it was filmed after the airing of her exit, correct? Like I believe that her exit had already aired and like she had her whole episode, which means that
at least a month.
The rumors of this all being for clout and for her having a relationship before and after probably reached the ears of people, and we're like, we gave you a whole fucking episode and you tried to play us out, like you're not invited.
Yeah, maybe.
Especially if they're like worried about quarantining in like the bubble and stuff. Like a lot of women weren't there. Like that Amber Lynn chick wasn't there. A lot of the night one women weren't there.
Yeah. Good point. Sarah Strauss has had particular drama, like with women. You know what I mean? Like her drama was with the other women and not really with Matt as much. I mean, yes, with Matt, but like, you know, they had their conversation. So for me, it would make sense for her to be at the Women Tell All because, like, you know, she was involved.
Yeah,
my
I feel like if this
favorite
were a
thing,
regular Women Tell All, she'd have a whole fucking segment.
yeah.
For sure.
My favorite thing about the Women Tell All, and I'm gonna just say this now before we get into all the heavy stuff, is that they really did not give Victoria, like, they did not give her pedestal like I expected. I literally thought that they were going to give her a hot seat. Like I thought that we were going to have this whole moment. No, like they let her talk. Obviously she spoke a lot because she's Victoria and she can't go without speaking. But like they did as much as possible to just be like, no, Victoria, nope, just step it. We're gonna,
it's very like
it was like
you had your moment.
It was refreshing.
I concur.
We don't need to make this about her anymore. We're fucking, you know, we made 5 episodes about her, 4, 5, 6 episodes about her. So like we don't need any more content about her. So
I wholeheartedly agree.
Yeah, Women Tell All. I mean, yeah. So we could keep talking about the Women Tell All, or just and then do the stuff later, or we could talk first about Bachelor Nation drama. What do you want to do? Do we want to lighten it up at the end?
Bachelor Nation drama out of the way. That way we can like get the heavy stuff done, and and then just like fucking laugh and like roast people and like do the fun things that we love to do after doing all the shit that we don't like to do. So where do you want to start with Bachelor Nation drama? Where do you want to begin?
Let's start with I kind of want to do a timeline almost, because first up was Rachel Lindsay deleting her Instagram. That was Saturday? Or was it also Sunday?
I think it was Saturday, but real quick before we actually get started.
Oh, yeah.
Just like ABC with the Women Tell All, we are going to date this recording Tuesday, March 2nd at 5:20-ish Eastern Standard Time. So in case anything else happens after the date that I've stated, timestamp that I've stated, we don't know about it in this episode. And we can discuss it another time. But we're going to talk about all the information we have as of now, March 2nd at 5:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Yes.
So, okay.
And we are also going to praise Megan Thee Stallion on this beautiful magazine cover.
If you're not watching the YouTube, you should be, because Shannon's got a visual aid that is...
It's just... Megan's Harper Bazaar spread was so nice. And there were some photos that she posted on her Instagram were so good. And I saw it today at the store and I was just like, I need it. It's mine now. So, yeah. We were worshiping her before, but...
Taking deep breaths and saying our Hail Megans.
It's literally like... Okay. So
I have like nervous laughter. I told Shannon before we started recording, I feel incredibly overstimulated and like very antsy and uncomfortable
Yes, same. Have
Um,
been not I've it's like one of those things where I've not been like not looking forward to this, but it's just been something that's been like this whole thing, everything that's since Sunday, Saturday and Sunday, really, this
yeah,
weekend, everything since this weekend has been so much to process because,
yeah,
you know, like it's fascinating to be like gaslit by an activist. Like it's literally, and that's why I think everybody is so shocked, of course, is because, you know, Taylor Nolan is very, very vocal in Bachelor Nation, as she should be, like as fucking anyone should be in Bachelor Nation, against the show being racist as fuck, like all these things, right? So we all, I mean, you and I have been, I've been a fan of Taylor since her season. Let me say this.
I think
I've
it's
been a
safe
fan
that
of
we've.
Taylor since Bachelor in Paradise after her season because her season annoyed me because she and Corinne were annoying.
Yeah,
Um,
I think that
but
we
I
could
did
say that
enjoy
we've
her
like
on
learned from
Bachelor in
her.
Paradise. Yeah.
We have
And
we have like learned something from her in her
yeah,
time since she's been a
100%.
public figure.
And she is very like present in the conversation around The
Yes.
Bachelor. Like there are many people who leave as far as possible, as much as possible, they leave the franchise and they like are still around and they still hang with their little bachelor friends, but they're not like, they're not on the show again doing some hosting thing. They're not
Yeah.
kind of really like you'll see some ex-bachelor people promoting the show like Monday or Tuesday, Monday nights, and like I mean, God, Nick Viall is the king of it, where it's like every time he posts something, every time he's watching the show, it's like,
Nick
okay,
works for
so
the fucking Bachelor. Whether
yeah,
it's on paper or
obviously.
not, Nick still works for the franchise.
Exactly. Like he creates so much content that draws people
Yeah,
back to the Bachelor. So
for sure.
that being said, Taylor is just been in this conversation, and she's done a lot of really good um well all right. I want to say she's done a lot of really good work, but then I even sit here and I'm like, I'm not saying she's not done things, but it's like I'm now thinking about like what she maybe has done that's other than just like speak and like call people out, talk to people, have her podcast, whatever, as far as like doing the work, quote unquote. But I'm kind of getting ahead of myself now
Yeah.
with my thoughts. But so before Taylor Nolan had her meltdown, Rachel Lindsay deleted her Instagram, or did the whole deactivate. I forget. No one deletes things anymore. It's just deactivated. And so Bachelor Nation was in a tizzy, as should be, because obviously like Chris Harrison is like fine, seemingly like enough. Obviously he's getting people like us saying #fire Chris Harrison, but people like us are the minority, like
Yeah.
heavily.
I noticed on Twitter last night that I'm fucking
Yeah,
soft potatoes, heavily outnumbered, which is
it
disgusting.
feels really jarring to like be the minority in this because you know it's funny, like people like leftists, liberals, Democrats, whatever you want to call us or
Yeah.
whatever, we generally are among our own company, and so with the being in the world of The Bachelor in any kind of way just opens you up to being like, oh yeah, this is
You're
like,
walking into the lion's den of
yeah,
people
this is
who do
what people
not agree
think.
with like your existence.
People who watch this show believe Chris Harrison did nothing wrong. Like the majority of people that watch the show in Middle America, not even in Middle America, in all of America, in all the little pockets of conservative spaces in America, all over the country, because it's not just like the only state that fucking ever goes full blue is Massachusetts. So it's like, other than that, there's at least some counties that are fucking outnumbered with Republicans. So anyway,
I'm in a very blue state and there's a Trump flag not 4 doors down
oh
from me.
God. And it's literally like, relax. He is gone, like so
I mean,
gone.
it's still up right now. I saw it yesterday and I was like, oh
Absurd.
my God. We're in March now.
So
Take it
we are
down.
the minority in Bachelor Nation
Yes.
as left-leaning people and progressive people, right?
Progressive people, yeah.
And it's just like, it's disgusting, quite frankly, to see people talk about Rachel Lindsay the way they do. Like, I fuck it. Like, I need you to know, it took me and my Scorpio Mercury, because if any Scorpio people are listening to me right now, especially Scorpio Mercury, you know, it took me every single fucking ounce of myself not to fully fucking dox these people, because it would take me no effort. Like, and I would never do that because I'm not a fucking shit. I mean, I could personally look things up for myself and shit talk personally, but you know what I mean? I would never like
that one
post
that I was like
that one who was all over us.
This?
Yeah. Oh, you have your full name in your Instagram and like it's open and public. Like, you're putting this shit on public stuff and you're commenting on a public platform, us, a podcast. Like, what do you think we're going to do? Especially when we have like not that many followers. Like, it's one thing if you're, you know, fucking blown up Bachelor Happy Hours comments or Game of Roses. Right. But we're like itty bitty little podcast and these people are finding plenty of time in their fucking boring ass lives to just come through our harmless fucking Instagram posts that are just stating what the fuck is happening to Rachel. And yeah, I guess people just don't want to believe that. You know, she is talented in her own right. The fact that they're obviously everybody's so racist, point blank, but the thing that there's the intersection of sexism too, with the people who are like, oh, she just wanted his job, she had to do this because she wants his job, and she got just what she wanted, she planned it. I'm like, that's disgusting. It's no. First of all, she is extremely qualified for this job. She is doing exactly what he did. He was a sports commentator though, and she's an entertainment commentator. Oh wait, she's also a sports commentator. So she's doing exactly what Chris Harrison was doing when he got fucking hired to be the host of The Bachelor. So literally anybody can get off of Rachel's ass thinking that she is not qualified enough for herself to do that. Also,
but like, who even fucking cares? Because not you, but like, who says she even wants his fucking job?
Literally,
who's saying that? Like, why are these people like coming out like she just wants his job? Says fucking who? Says like, who? She's fine. She has 1,000,005 streams of income. You want to know what she probably doesn't want to do?
Have another job.
Not even that, but bury herself deeper in this franchise that's proven themselves to be fucking hateful. Exactly. Why would she want a larger role in this community where all you motherfuckers are sending her death? Not you. I know, not our listeners.
No, I know.
I'm not apologizing to you. I'm apologizing to anyone listening. Like, I'm not.
I know. We are literally talking as if, you know, racists are listening to us. Never to anybody
Shannon
else.
knows that, like, I'm not I never really know how to say this because I'm not confrontational, but I will never shy from a confrontation. Like, if it finds me, I will meet it there.
No, I just love
absolutely. So I'm promising.
You're so funny in your little Libra Mars right now.
But no, like, straight the fuck up. Like, listeners, like, this is a preface. Like, if you see our account wilding in anyone's comments, it's me.
No, 100%.
If you see
I'm the one who deletes people and blocks people because I don't have time for you. Whereas Jess
I'm
is like,
you're gonna hear what the fuck I have to say. You're
so good. No, it actually has been so fun. Like, literally just since Saturday, I just kind of like, you just like
Shannon pops on the Instagram and she's like, oh, this has happened. Oh,
I was just like, you literally you were like, you texted me, dude, on Saturday, aka the day. So I think it was Friday night. It must have been Friday night in the middle of the night when Rachel Lindsay deactivated her Instagram. But you texted me in the morning and it was like 7 a.m. And you were like,
I'm an early riser.
I went rogue on the stories. Hope you don't mind. And I was like, oh, I probably don't. I literally texted you. I was like, I probably don't. I don't think so. And I went and looked.
Yeah. It must have been Friday night, because that would have been me getting up, getting ready for work on Saturday. So I would have been up at like 5 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. Yeah, you were doing your skincare. You were doing the influencer vibe. I loved it. I loved listening to you go off on racists while
I'm
also
glowing.
like moisturizing. It was
Being
like
anti-racist is great for your fucking skin.
literally, I was gonna say, you're literally moisturizing yourself with the racist tears of this franchise.
And
literally.
This is a guy that was in my comments last night.
Oh my
from
God.
Reddit this morning.
Here's this bitch who was in our comments all damn day. I don't want to say her. I want to say her name, but I also know a literal person named this, and I don't want to like
Don't worry
think
about it. It's there. I'm not
But-
deleting shit. Y'all can go find it.
yeah, literally fucking anyway. So
I have no regrets on that whatsoever.
I literally wanted to just, you were so great on the story. I just woke up late that day as fuck, and I remember just being like, yeah, fuck yeah, Jess.
Just
Because
like
for me, I want, because like again, literally cosign, and also because sometimes it stresses me out to do that stuff on the Instagram. So on days that there's lots of drama, I end up starting to lurk way more and just like reposting lots of things and like trying, and like there'll be opinions, but there's lots of this weekend was a fucking lot to deal with. That was a different level of processing. Like, it's one thing to process Rachel deactivating her Instagram because people are being racist to her. Like, that's something that I can, in my brain, expect, because Bachelor franchise is shitty. Majority of the people who watch it are racist as fucking white. So of course they're going to be all over Rachel. Like it. So Rachel, we love you.
We love you very much.
Rachel Lindsay, we love you.
Getting back to like a place that makes sense. So Rachel deactivated her Instagram, like Shannon said, and there was fucking response. Like, there was a lot of people like us who were like, the fact that she felt this was necessary is tragic. Like, if you're somebody who was someone sending her hate, like, do some reflection, like really, really, really like step away. If you are also in the same breath, like if you are that gung-ho on like Chris Harrison makes this show, also I urge you step away. Like, that's a concerning feeling, that like if the very bland
step away and learn that this is a sport and that the host of the sport will always
fucking imagine if someone was watching like Love is Blind. We both watched that show, right? And someone was like, I'm sorry, Nicholas, Lachey, and Vanessa aren't coming back. I'm not fucking watching. And it's like,
they were everything.
If that's why you're watching the show, why are you watching the show? Go watch something else.
Speaks 5 words. And Chris Harrison's only been involved more recently because it's quarantine.
Yeah. So we were having this whole conversation about like, why do you want to cancel Chris Harrison? And I'm like, first of all, I haven't used the word cancel. I said fire Chris Harrison. And I don't know what I get what these people like think that cancel culture is. And like, canceling someone was literally fucking slang that all of a sudden became a fucking action, and like people ran with it. And it's not that serious. And I was like, fire does not equal cancel. Like, will he get another job? Yes. He doesn't even need another job. He's got all the money he could ever possibly want in his fucking lifetime, but like, he's going to be fine. He's an incredibly wealthy man who has a million connections. Like, he's got like a very vast network in this industry. He's very well known. If he's not the host of this show anymore, he will be totally fine.
Literally.
Totally fucking fine. So what canceling are you talking about? Like, he's going to wake up tomorrow. He's going to be enjoying his time with his family, enjoying all of his fucking money, probably not doing any work to better himself. And he's going to go on living his life. So like, why do you guys on Twitter care so much? He will be fine. But when you do your job poorly, you lose your job.
These people are tired of their guilty pleasure show being attacked by everything, because it was Me Too first, and then it was like racism because we had to have Rachel, the black lady, as the bachelorette, and now we have this. Oh my God, I hate it. Ew, we had a bi girl on Bachelor in Paradise. The libs are taking over. Literally, these people are fucking annoying. Like,
but it's like so ironic that you call it
so
like
one note
their guilty pleasure show, right? Because like in my mind,
is not
even that, but like not in my mind, the only reason that these people fucking care so much is because they're like, oh, if a high power man can lose his job for it, average Joe me could lose my job for it, and I
Which is
see
again why I
myself in
want to
Chris
dox all
Harrison.
these people. You better be
That's what
fucking
I mean.
careful in my comments. I will not be afraid to email your manager and discuss how racist you're fucking.
People are so blinded by like their own fucking guilt. It's crazy. People are like, well, I don't think that I'm racist and I behave that way, so he can't be racist because he behaves the same way I behave. And it's like,
Yep.
no, maybe
Oh,
you're
I'm
also just
sorry.
fucking racist.
Is this mirror a little too
A
clean
little
for
too clean?
you? A little too clear? Because you're fucking if you're
Yeah.
seeing something that he does and people are fucking canceling him for it, gee. Oh, and you do the same thing? Yeah, exactly. You would
You like see
you would
yourself
get
in Chris
canceled.
Harrison, and that's fucking fine. Like you can
Yeah.
be a picky
So
bitch for Chris Harrison. Just say less. Like don't bother me as much. Say less so we
literally.
can arrive at the same point and I don't have to talk to you as much.
Yep. And so kind of
Yawn.
stemming here from here.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
obviously throughout the Rachel Lindsay this whole conversation with Chris Harrison, Rachel Lindsay, and the discourse it has caused through the Bachelor Nation in the past couple of weeks, one of the most vocal people,
Which we
has
referenced last episode, the episode before.
couple episodes. We've been talking about her.
We cited
We've
her.
been talking about her. So Taylor Nolan, who was on Nick Viall's season of The Bachelor, and that was in 2016. And no, 16, because that was the same season that Rachel,
Content warning for listeners. If you already know about Taylor Nolan's tweets, we're going to be talking about them. If you don't know about Taylor Nolan's tweets, please skip ahead. I'll include a timestamp. There will be anything that could possibly trigger you will probably be discussed, and that sounds really, really vague in general, and it's very, unfortunately, very true.
I mean, it's like every ism it happens in these tweets, and you can, so if it's something that you really don't want to hear about,
if you're
forward.
Like emotionally exhausted, please skip ahead.
It's been all over the internet. If you're in the Bachelor Nation world and you're listening to this and you don't want to listen to anymore, go ahead. But
just be aware that's coming.
Anyway, we have obviously want to unpack it for ourselves because it's a lot to unpack. As she said, unpack. All right. So Taylor has been one of the most vocal people. So again, so she was on Nick Viall's season in 2016. It aired in 2017, but it filmed in 2016. She then was on Bachelor in Paradise after that. She dated that guy Derek for a while. Derek's now engaged to some hot ass model. So Taylor Nolan has been very vocal, right? So that being said, because of her being very vocal, this is kind of, I feel like this might unfortunately become a common practice. And I think it is already a kind of a somewhat common practice of where within social justice circles, people get kind of doxed. Not really. It's like, I don't know what the right term is, because it's so because
what's like Taylor, the vetting. They talk about the vetting process.
Yes. So because Taylor has been super vocal about, fighting racism within the franchise and at large, and getting a lot of hate for it, people decided to go scroll through and search. Search through her her tweets, really any tweet, not just old. I mean, it was only old stuff that came up, but
they basically like searched slurs on her feed.
They just typed in Taylor, like her at in a search bar. You can do this on Twitter. Just typed in her at, since she's public, she can her handle, I should say, her at.
I gotcha.
So her handle, just type in her handle and then things like fat or literally anything.
A lot of like really bad words.
And so
that I don't want to say.
Anyway, after searching, scrolling, any of these things, obviously these tweets got screenshot and spread around the internet. Usually it was on Bachelor Reddit. And then
so many of them.
It's a lot, like enough to where it's I mean, so these tweets span from homophobic homophobic stuff, which is the stuff that I kind of think is like, I mean, I'm queer, so it's like
So
Liz like
yeah,
thinking that,
I
and
think
also it's hard for me too because she is someone who has come out as like pansexual, bisexual, whatever, and it's
and like
just
very sex positive and like
yeah. So it's interesting. Again, yeah. Wow. Okay, lots to
I
unpack. So
before you keep going, I just want to say like for listeners, this is something that Shannon and I kind of had like a pretty we've had
I
like
mean, we've
pretty
been talking about
lengthy
this for days.
conversations
Yeah.
about this. Yeah. And like we've been having a lot of like I mean I would probably say very honest conversations. Like we are like a safe space for each other. So we really it was like pretty unfiltered and like pretty candid, I would say.
Yeah.
And I not think. I confidently can say that like we are aware of the fact that like a good portion of Taylor's tweets were offensive to like the BIPOC community, which she's a part of. So that makes it kind of a sensitive subject. But like we were saying, like there's a wide range of things that she tweeted
It's
about.
not
And like
just yeah.
we
It's not
are
just
both
racism
while
stuff.
yeah, like while yes, we are privileged in the sense that we are white women, like there were things that were said that
There are
absolutely
a lot of intersections. A lot. I
yeah.
mean,
We are of the
she
affected communities in like
yeah
more
she
ways than one.
and I think that it opens this up to finally this is why I think her initial apology was so stressful to a lot of people is because she's trying to only say this to BIPOC people, which
Which
it's like stressful because
that's
in her
important
tweets
actually in my like overall analysis of the thing, like her beginning, her reaction like
I
that.
have really difficult thoughts about all of this, but
Well, it's like from that jumping off point, can we say that that's a jumping off point, right? Okay.
I mean,
From
I
that,
kind of wanted to get out the
okay,
tweets and
go for it.
only it's just like what I know of the tweets, so we don't have to like
So
reference
we'll
exactly
do
like
tweets and
because
then we'll
it's
go into apologies
yeah,
and
and
then
then
I'll
we'll
just
talk
talk
about all
about
the
yeah,
other
go
stuff,
for it.
right?
Go for it.
So the tweets were mostly from 2011 and 2012. She was so also for
I saw a wider
reference,
range than that. I saw up to like 2017.
really?
Yeah.
Where? Okay, I'm gonna need more links then. I think I'm gonna have to just
Mhm.
look at them because I had only seen uh I
I
was
saw
when
some
I saw the
shit.
Reddit master post that I sent you.
The Reddit master post
I
doesn't have everything. I don't know if they've edited it to include, but the one that you sent me at the time that I had read it, there was more after that. After the master post was created.
okay. I just don't want to misspeak because she's only saying it
Well, we
in
can
her
always. I have no
I
issue
know, but
editing this.
oh, I know, but she's only been talking about even in her most recent apology. She's only talking about 8 years ago. So this is
I think she's trying to encompass like that's part of the issue that people are having is that like her in her when we get to the reaction, like her initial defense was that like she left them up intentionally because they were a part of her journey, but then it was made very very clear by that statement that she wasn't even aware of all of the ones that people were pulling up, so that couldn't have been true. Like maybe it was true
yeah.
to a degree, but like that couldn't have been encompassing all of the tweets because what she was saying
I think
wasn't
that she
lining
was
up with
trying
the
to
shit
cover
coming out.
up every single
Totally,
moment of her ass.
wholeheartedly.
But so
But
predominantly
that's
all
like
these
relevant.
tweets,
That's important, I
yeah.
feel like.
But most of the tweets okay, hear about this. Even if there were some from 2017, the majority of the tweets were from 2011 and 2012. Like
I would say
over
2011, 2014, I'll give you.
okay. So she was mostly tweeting about, just like it was all first of all, it was like first reading this, I felt like I was in a time machine looking at Twitter because it was like
The
hashtag that awkward
way
moment when
that
it was like when you would at reply to all your people, you couldn't thread tweets, and so it was just shit
or
you
like
would just
quote
tweet over and
came
over.
after it.
Yeah, like RT be like things like that. Just so it's that like when everyone on Twitter was just fucking wildin'.
Wyland. Yep.
Like and again and so okay also prefaces too there's this whole situation is incredibly complicated nuanced and stressful because first of all, Taylor is our age. So like literally would have been in our like grade growing up. Graduated in the same year that we did from high school. Wait, you graduated 2011, right? Yeah. So we all three of us graduated high school 2011 and she graduated high school when she was 17 and did the whole turns 18 after just like yeah, you too. So she's out here 17 18 in the beginning, right? And so uh what I just feel like there are so many things that are true at once. And one of the things that is true at once is that 17-year-olds are fucking psychotic bitches on Twitter. And I'm not gonna say this is like an excusing her, but I'm thinking about all of the layers to everything because I was a dumb shit on Twitter. However, I was not a dumb shit saying that awkward moment when Indian men smell bad near me.
And
that awkward moment when
Shannon, that's it, though. It's every teenager says stupid shit. We've talked about that. Like Facebook memories embarrasses me fucking daily.
It's like
if I had to go back and look at my Twitter from when I was a freshman in college, I'd be embarrassed because I probably said stupid shit, but I can confidently say that I never said cruel things.
And yeah, exactly. Like, and the things that various things Taylor was saying were very cruel, and it was cruel toward people she knew, like she was joking about her brother being the F slur, and using the R word so many times.
Oh my god,
she
that was a staple in her vocabulary.
Throwing around just like fat jokes about women, all like so much. And Taylor to this day is very small, so I can only imagine in high school. And she like, yeah, fat phobia. And so yeah, the reason that in her apology to BIPOC people, she points out Asian people is because she made Jackie Chan jokes. Obviously, the Indian men she mentioned multiple times, and then I'll get to this. With
she
her
had
apology.
like commentary
when she mentioned the Indian man shit was
people that
she
shitty. Saw. She tweeted like many like narrative.
She just like was very observational. She's definitely was someone like tweeting as if she was tweeting as if it was a nowadays private Twitter where no one's obviously like racist and shit.
It's but it's fucking like group chat, dude. Like,
exactly.
She's texting her friends
not,
like shitty.
She never was even thinking at the time that would ever be an issue, that this Twitter would be seen or whatever. And like, yeah, okay, cool. At 17, I didn't think that either. Like, I didn't expect the fact that hey, I'm gonna say this right now. I didn't expect to ever live in a world where people vetted your social media to like make sure you weren't, and I don't mean this in like jobs, because this is not a job. Like, people vet social media now to make sure you're not a bad person or whatever, la la la. Anyway, back to all this contradiction stuff, back to layers, because Taylor is fighting all of this anti-racist stuff within the franchises and getting called out like this because people want to call her a hypocrite, and the people who want to call her a hypocrite are predominantly the racist people who are trying to say, oh, like, and you're such a hypocrite for wanting to fire him whenever you're being horrible for yourself. So it's like, who else? So, okay, R word, F slur, racism toward Indian and Asian men. I'm trying to like generally gather the rest of there was something that people were talking about sexual assault stuff.
Yes. And,
I forgot about the I didn't see sexual assault stuff. Yeah, the mental
illness. That's what I'm saying. There's so many, Shannon.
Which is crazy.
So fucking many.
Because here she is, a quote unquote therapist, mental health professional, whatever she wants to say she is. And or the ones when she was posting Facebook statuses about her clients. When she was, saying that ha ha ha, cure for that would be suicide, LOL, like talking to her friends. Like,
bro,
this shit is so heinous. I can't even believe that there was ever a time that people thought, like, she thought those things in her brain. Because as shitty as I have been, and like I will literally be the first to tell anybody nowadays that, and I used to be very embarrassed of this, like that I am, okay, not that embarrassed to be from the South, but like nowadays it's like I was very much thinking I was Republican when I was a kid, up until probably about age 20 was when I was like actively thinking in my brain that I was Republican, because that's what my family taught me. That is what Texas taught me, and so back to, if you were to, look through my dumb shit on Facebook or Twitter or whatever, you would find me probably posting stupid statuses about hating Obama. And I never did things like, oh, I hate Obama. Oh, I never like used the N-word. I never like said anything like, ooh, hate him because he's black.
You just said like dumb,
It
uninformed,
was
ignorant
stupid.
things. Like, yeah.
Me being stupid and me being like, ew, Obama's the worst. Like, can't believe he won. Sad face. Like,
Regurgitating shit you've
2008.
heard.
Exactly.
Yeah.
My mom is freaking out that Obama wins, which is now I'm just like, God, that was so stupid. Like, so things like that is where you would find me, or me, literally just being a lunatic on fucking Facebook with my friends and wall posts, chaos. So just like fully, or sad song lyrics and shit. Like that's where I'd be at. I'd be like over and over, like,
yeah,
fucking my boyfriend.
Jessica loves him, heart, and then like his
oh my
initials.
God, Shannon Elliott is totally missing him. Like, exo boo bear, like, see you at school tomorrow.
Right, that's what you would find on my old social media, because I was
so it's embarrassing
fool.
And stupid, and like, why would I use social media that way? But it's also not racist. Well, so this reminds me of, so like I have a lot of not a fuckload, but like I have a fair amount of nurse friends, and like one of my, so it's a common thing, nurses, they're always kind of somehow that mean girl. Like there's that joke on, you've seen it, I've seen it on Twitter. It's like everyone kind of makes it every once in a while, being like, how is it that half the nurses are all of, like, from high school were all the girls who were the meanest to you? And it's interesting to me how Taylor has somehow done that, but instead of the nurse, it became the counselor, which is probably worse, because at least a nurse is caring for a physical body and an illness or a sickness. And obviously not mental illness is still bad, but it's like, that's a different kind of care that is required, like literally mental health care, and understanding experiences of others, and or at least trying to, and level with them. And if you're sitting here trying to say you're yeah, it's like I feel like I start thinking about it all, and then I like hit a point where I'm like, yeah, and that's just fucked up. Like,
well, like, so I've been very open in conversations with you on this podcast, and like very open on like Average Bear, like about the fact that I fucking love therapy. I participate, I advocate for it. I think everyone could benefit from therapy. I am mentally ill, so I really do need it as a coping mechanism to like exist in the world. And I think that the relationship that I have with my therapist is incredibly important and is only beneficial because I trust her, and I do not give a fuck how well I know her. If I ever found out that Sandra said any of that shit at any point in her life, I would never trust her again. I don't care. I don't care how many constructive conversations we've had. If like I had looking back and I'm like, oh, okay, so at one point you genuinely thought that recommending suicide as a treatment for mental illness was like funny, like you actually thought that was a funny enough joke. It's like,
and yeah, even to your friends, it's like, because we've all like
what kind of fucking joke is that?
This is gonna sound, but also this is gonna sound jarring right now to say, but many people have been like when you're friend to friend hanging out with people, you're like, okay, like go off, like go walk off a bridge, dude, haha, go walk off a fucking cliff. It's the same kind of idea, but she straight up says like, oh, my recommendation for that would be suicide, lol, like in a recommendation,
treatment,
like in a reply suicide to a tweet, like just replying to somebody's tweet, like just like casually. It's yeah, so it's I would not want to trust her either as a therapist after hearing about that kind of thing. Even again,
Well,
if
it's
it's
like
10 years ago, because back to it being quote unquote part of her journey, like, so you
explain it, make it make
used
sense to
all
me.
of these terms because you were learning about them and you were like using them within your jokes because you thought that made sense. Like,
Well, no, and like that's the thing is that
I don't understand. And
the tweets weren't during the work. The work came after the tweets, and then she needed to
yes.
leave the tweets up as evidence of like her starting point. But
Yeah, which
then
again,
why
I have also
I
had a
can
starting point of learning, but
no, dude,
I'm
I can logistically poke holes in
it's
her
not.
apology all fucking night.
Yeah.
I can sit there and everything that she says, I'm just like, and this makes no sense because of this. Like, good thing that you attempted to be a therapist and not a fucking lawyer because this is a
Mhm.
fucking mess. Like, you can't sit there and say that like this is my I think that my bad behavior on social media should be the jumping off point for real change to make me a better person who is now an ally, now an advocate, and like this is an important journey and this is a this journey is possible. It is clearly possible to come from a place of hate and be a fully realized advocate at the end, right? But then everything's coming out for other people on social media and not once is she an advocate for like, oh, maybe that journey is the same as mine. She wouldn't have
Yeah.
extended that grace to be like, oh, well, you know what, like I was a fucked up person and I can change that you know what, maybe she has started because like my shit's, you know what I mean, like none of it makes
Yeah.
sense.
Well, and I think too so in her
Sorry,
apology,
I'm
which I
like
guess
I can
we'll just
feel, I wish you
transition
could feel
in.
my heart. I'm so sorry. I'm like,
We so
I'm
in
upset,
her
guys.
apology, she really brings up a lot of, or okay, so I must say in her apology video, the first video she posted that was half an hour long and a lot. Um she said quite many things. And none of it was I'm sorry.
I firmly believe I'm a Cancer moon. Shannon knows this about me. And I think that nothing rings truer for people with like please correct me if I'm wrong. I feel quite confident in this. I'm going to be a little bit shaken if it is wrong. But I feel like it's a pretty common theme for like people with Cancer placement. You can't bullshit a bullshitter. Watching the whole Taylor Nolan situation unfold, I felt like from the jump with that story and that apology from the second she opened her mouth in that apology, I felt like she was trying to manipulate me and then I got
I
irritated.
just think that yes. So actually, since you brought up Cancer, I actually have many a thought on the initial reaction and just like the general reactions of her based on astrology because
Let's hear it.
um as I've said on the podcast many a time, astrology is always happening. And so when things happen, it's more of just like oh, what is the configuration that's like on the clock, on the astrological clock as things are going down. So Taylor in general, Taylor is a Cancer sun and an Aries moon and a Scorpio rising. So what's funny is that I know this information because she had a podcast for her birthday in 2020. Like she posted a podcast episode. I posted a little clip of it on our story the other day. And
Quite
it
popular.
was, yeah. I mean, her podcast is
Got a
pretty,
very good response. No, I
yeah.
mean like you posting the clip about it. Like people were
Oh,
like, "Oh shit."
yeah, because Kira is so good. So she had a chart reading. She had a chart reading on her podcast, and she had one of my friends, like not my like just my online mutual friend, no, like my friend. I have hung out with her. We've gone out. She used to live in New York. She just moved to LA. But her name is Kira Taborn, and she is at the astrology. So basically astrology without an A. So the astrology on Instagram. And
Oh, that's who that is.
yes.
Oh.
Uh-huh. So I love her. Highly recommend following her. This is my just me loving her and telling you to follow her because she's amazing.
We will
So
link below.
she was on Taylor's podcast and she read her chart. And I knew this information because I remember when Taylor posted the episode like over the summer, I immediately clocked Kira's face, like her photo on the podcast thing, and I was like, oh my god, like Kira? I was like, in my brain, I was like, holy shit, how cool. Like my astrology world and my bachelor world are like coinciding and these two people are now talking. So she did a chart reading and this is how I know her rising sign. And I knew literally like asked Jess how quick I was so quick on that podcast. Like the Sunday was when I went to listen immediately and I pulled her chart. So you mentioned Cancer, of course. And Cancers don't generally like conflict, especially if it's about something they've done. Cancers will fight. I know. Cancers will get a little more forward with other people. They are a cardinal sign, which is people tend to forget. People think Cancers are the wimpy crybabies. No, you were pretty right. Cancers are very intuitive. And so it's funny to me that Taylor is a Cancer and a therapist, or wants to be a therapist, like this person, because that is kind of the Cancer trope, is the like, let me sit and listen to your problems and hug you and say bye, whatever. Cancer is the mom trope. So Cancer sun gets very emotionally defensive because, again, they don't want to admit that they've done anything that's upsetting, because they don't want to have that internal guilt of the feeling that they have hurt other people, which is something that I will give Taylor as far as watching her. I'm like, I'm sure she's hurting because she is stressed about how she's being perceived by other people right now. She's also Scorpio rising, which is interesting because I'm going to just add her to the list of the Bachelor people who are Scorpio risings. I'm going to slowly but surely start just assuming most people are, because it makes a lot of sense. A Leo midheaven, just like Victoria. Like, I mean, shit, I think there's a fuckload more. I can't even think right now. But Scorpio rising is someone who okay. I'm sorry to Scorpio risings listening, but y'all ain't slick and have never been slick. Y'all think you're slick, but you're not slick. And that being said, literally, like, Scorpio risings think that they are super mysterious, super hidden, super this, but they're not, because they have that Leo midheaven. They are too open with themselves in public for their own good. And I think that's kind of something that's happening here with Taylor, where she is unraveling and she's trying to be too transparent, and it's like messing with her. Like, it's fumbling her message, right? Because she's trying to say, oh, I knew they existed. Like, I totally had this planned all along, and you are just now seeing the real me or whatever. But in actuality, it's like, no, girl, you ain't like, you didn't know that this was going to happen to you. Even if you did know, you said some of this shit or whatever.
Even like, that's the thing, is like, I don't want to discredit the work that she's done, because like I said earlier, like, we've learned things from her. Like, she's done and said like things that have really good meaning and have helped a lot of people, and like provided resources and provided knowledge.
Yeah.
And I don't want to take away from that. Go ahead.
Right. So not too long ago in the astrology community was slightly rocked because there's a very popular astrologer who's kind of old. I'm not gonna say old, but old, like old school. She's like in her 50s or something. A white woman.
Given the range, the average age of the astrologer.
Yeah, right. But it's funny because astrologers are old as fuck.
But like
except for the internet astrologers are people.
Internet
old astrologers don't like internet astrologers. They think that we're just making memes. They're just thinking we're making memes, and I'm like, okay.
Like, that's not all. More than that.
Literally
too,
not all. But also there is value in memes, like, right? That's a whole separate conversation. But her name is Ann Ortley. So she was getting like canceled on Twitter for essentially like liking tweets of somebody else who was doing something that was like aligned with white people. I don't fucking remember exactly, but it was like kind of
like third degree of separation,
right? Like third degree, because that's also the problem on Twitter, is like, if you don't fucking unfollow the right people are thinking you like people. Oh my god, it's a mess. So
sometimes you really just can't keep up. I swear.
It's literally that.
But I
she's old. She's old on Twitter, and all she does is fucking post scheduled tweets about the transits. She doesn't do shit. Somebody then brought up how, there is still value in what we've learned from someone who has harmed us, even if the harm is something like this, like it's retroactive, it's like later, like, oh, it's or it's out from nowhere. Like, we can still find value in the work that Taylor has done to educate people in the community, being a Bachelor Nation, and then also her like podcast community, like, and generally beyond that. And we can also, and back to there are so many things that are true at once. Like, she's Black and she's a woman. Like, she does experience so many of these things. She does experience racism, and people, I also too believe that people jumped crazy hard at her with this being
They were
both.
so excited to like shoot her down from that
Well,
pedestal. Oh my
I
god.
think that's what I'm saying is like, and so for instance, some of the people who would reply, and I'm saying this in Bachelor Nation, so like some of the people who would kind of get involved
Like other public,
are,
like other,
well, like, yeah, like other people commenting on what Taylor's doing, right, and calling her out now, are people who have dealt with their own shit and have also been called out, have also like just,
if you name drop, I'll bleep it out.
right, I do agree with most of the things she said, that it is a very unfortunate to find this out. Like, how could this be part of the journey if you knew, like, could it, you could have mentioned it sooner if you knew this was happening, blah, 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 that kind of thing. But also I think about,
Me like laughed. Oh yeah.
look,
Yeah.
like that's kind of in the same realm of what is happening on Taylor's tweets, obviously much more minor jokes, but like, you're joking
The
about
principle is
grief,
the
yeah,
same.
right,
Yeah.
just being mean, just
We
mean,
fucking
okay.
knew that. We knew
And
that.
so and a lot of what Taylor was saying was just mean spirited. So to me, it bothered me when I saw some people,
I wish that it was
what
being
is it,
said by like
person,
everybody in a
it's an Onion article or something that's like, person that you hate makes good point
boy
in
that
Aquarius.
cry opposite of like boy that cried wolf though. It's like if she just like didn't jump as often and then this was the moment where she jumped, it'd be fucking dope. But like she's so judgy, so quick, so often that now you're like, fuck dude, like can you just chill? Like good point, but like chill.
Like, she could have just
Right? Is that where you're
her,
coming from?
well, and and Taylor has dealt with all of her own, races, her own experiences of racism and sexism and et cetera, but then is perpetuating all this, and then is trying to be very defensive in her first apology video, like very defensive, very reactionary. Lots of she sits there and like, I should have kind of counted, but there are multiple times in the 30-minute video where she just sits in silence and stares and just is like clicking a pen. I talked to you about this, but when there was another different person getting canceled in the astrology community, actually though, people who are listening to this might follow her. If you are following Marin Altman on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, anywhere, please unfollow her.
Is that the co-star lady?
No, she got like a couple million, she's like over 1 million followers on TikTok. She's the super pale, dark hair with the red lipstick and the big eyes and the lingerie doing astrology. And if you don't know her off the top of your head, then you have not seen her, because if you knew her, you would know exactly who I'm talking about. She is the aesthetic. She wears the same shit in her videos every time. So, but she was called out and rightfully canceled for equating things like veganism to, fighting, or to like being against like Nazi stuff, like kind of like just a lot of things. Oh, just being like, my grandma was a Holocaust survivor, which is why I care about helpless people, or the helpless, and I'm a vegan for that reason. Shit like that. There's a lot. Basically, very similar to Taylor, but more recent tweets. Okay. So she was canceled, and she also had a couple apology videos, right? On her fucking apology video, too, she's wearing like no makeup. Her hair's a little disheveled. She's got like none of her lingerie on, none of her done up stuff, whatever. And people kind of mentioned, was like, isn't it interesting how when white women have to get on to apologize? And Taylor is obviously not white, but I'm just women. When you look disheveled, unkempt, whatever, it must mean you're sad, because that's what happens on mainstream media, right? They're not okay, because okay women make themselves look pretty for us. So it is a internalized misogyny almost, like with Taylor. Like, it is interesting to have that happen. But so for me, looking at the shirt saying depression on it and the hair up and the no makeup and whatever, I'm immediately thinking like, yeah, because we have to
Yeah,
portray
right?
this message. But when you texted me that her shirt was backwards, I literally didn't even know how to process that, because that either takes
I wish
a
you had been
completely
like
unaware
awake.
person who just put their shirt on backwards and it didn't matter, which, and also the type of t-shirt that she's wearing, those are kind of uncomfortable when they're on backwards, like they're shaped differently. And
But once
anyway,
now that you're looking at it like that, it's like obvious that it's backwards, right?
yeah,
It's like once you know it, you can't unsee it.
yep. But anyway, that's wild. So her apology was just very reactionary. And oh, I wanted to mention too, because we were talking about it when she was specifically talking about the Indian men. She, in her first apology video, took the
Oh my
time
god.
to
Oh my
tell us a
god.
story
Oh my
about how
god.
she would go out to clubs and she would be, oh yeah, haha, it was so fun. I'd go out to this club, and she name dropped the club. And it was like super. She said, I'm not going to imitate her voice because I'm going into my white girl imitation voice, and that's not Taylor, even though she does have a high pitched voice. But
It's the high pit. It's the
yeah,
yeah. I get what you're saying.
but she was, she name drops the club. She talks about how, and there were lots of Indian guys there, and they would all hit on me and ask me if I'm Indian because I looked Indian to them, or sometimes they think I'm Mexican, haha, I'm so biracial. And she tells this story as if it makes it better that, yeah, the reason I would talk shit about Indian men is because they were around me all the time. That doesn't
It was
make
a
sense in my
very weird
brain, but it was a
justification.
very
I
strange moment, because most of the apology was like actively talking about like, I have to unpack this and my BIPOC community, and I'm sorry about this and my this. But that story was like out of place to me. And back to, that's why to me this whole thing was reactionary, because, and I understand we want reactions. Like, people beg for reactions pretty quickly, but it's also, she literally woke up and posted the video. Like, it did not.
yeah, no, that was apparent.
And so anyway, we could keep going at it, but it's stressful to have been, very interested in learning from a person, an activist, having to watch them have a meltdown in the apology, and then post a classic text statement that everybody always posts. Like, I honestly feel like I would have been a lot happier if she posted another video. Like, literally, like, I think because
So
the text statement just felt like Rachel Kirkconnell's statement, like Matt James' statement, like Chris Harrison's statement, like,
get ready
like
for
it's just
this.
all the other ones. Okay.
So you didn't listen to Chatty Bras today. I did.
Yes.
And a lot of our like it feels, because I did listen, like my feelings about it almost seem redundant, and we've talked about it a lot. Like, I feel like I'm just like repeating, I feel like a broken record. Especially given the fact that like the way that they discussed it in Chatty Broad's info, listeners, if you haven't listened, honestly go to this episode, just listen to that if you want more clarification on it, because they are very eloquent. But Becca, I feel a lot of what she's saying mirrors how I feel, but she makes a comment about how like Taylor's multiple apologies almost are like they came out of Taylor's textbook for how not to apologize. Like the way
Yeah.
that Taylor has been criticizing
Yeah.
every single apology, and Taylor's like, do this instead of this, don't do this, don't do this, don't. And then she did all of the things that she tells other people not to do in almost succession. Like, it was, I think it might have been like 4 attempts to apologize, and none of them really like hit quite right. I don't know. Once again,
No,
like
well,
I can
that's
really only.
so I think, all right, how about this? I'm just going to do this. And I feel like people are probably afraid to talk about it like this, but I'm going to do it. I think the exact apology that I would have liked, that I think I would have, like, that literally, because people are like, well, what do you want?
Yeah.
I want a video just like she did originally. However, I wanted to straight up immediately say, wow, everyone, she kind of started it out okay. Like she was like, I woke up today to some messages and I am so distraught or something, pick a word, synonym of
Yeah.
whatever that. I'm so sorry. Like these tweets are not my character now, which I believe. I literally do probably like believe that. Like I
Yeah,
believe that she is
yeah.
not. That's what's hard. Again, I believe she is not the things that she tweeted, right?
I agree.
So she could have said, yeah, I'm so sorry. Like, this is not who I am anymore. I am ashamed at the way I used to tweet. I had to go through a lot of unpacking of my own internalized misogyny and racism to be able to unlearn what I tweeted. She could even say, I did know they existed, but I wanted to keep them up for this reason. However, now I realize that's wrong. I should just remove them. And I wanted to talk about it, whatever. I plan to have XYZ on my podcast to help me. I plan to work on the intersectional the intersectional issues that are involved here. And I'm so sorry to she could say my BIPOC community, my LGBTQ community, the fat or anybody who was offended by, the fat phobic content,
Yeah.
the this, and then she could say, I am no longer going to take, or something about like, I'm going to close my therapy sessions off for now until, or this, I'm going to basically like, I'm going to stop doing practicing therapy until I can work around this, whatever. So essentially, she just needed to, like, that's the problem. A video, A plus. Owning up to what she did, good. Giving us some background on why she left it up, cool. But she didn't apologize in 30 minutes. She teared up and told me a story about clubbing with Indian men. And she, like, she fucking sat there and just freaked out, and that's where it's the problem, and it's unfortunate that it's that way. And also, one other side note I haven't mentioned yet is she didn't mention homophobic stuff, like the homophobic stuff in the first video, but I kind of started thinking about it, and Olivia is literally bracing themselves because they know what I'm about to say. But not enough people get canceled for homophobia, and they should. Homophobia is something that is so much more given a pass to, not transphobia. Transphobia is still very much like shamed upon, but like homophobia in general, I think, is people just let it slide because it's I
It seems so
grew up
casual.
religious.
Yeah.
I grew up Catholic, so sorry that I said that thing to you. Like, it's fine. Like, yeah, okay. And then they move on with their lives. Where it's just it's stressful to me. Where she just kind of, and she did mention the LGBTQ community and whatnot, but that was in her second apology. But in the first one, I was just like, oh God. And we all have to fight so many isms, and homophobia is something that is still like, yes, we got gay marriage. Literally, gay marriage was legalized in the year that tweets were happening of Taylor.
Yeah.
So it's just, I don't know. I have a lot of feelings about the homophobic shit because I've just been thinking about it in lately. Even outside of Taylor and Bachelor Nation, I have been thinking about straight people and and microaggressions to queer people a lot. And so with this, it's just like a literal, not, it's not a microaggression. She's saying the fucking F slur, but it's just, yeah, much to unpack, as she said, unpack.
Like I said, like her initial reactionary video, I won't call it an apology because I don't think that that's what it was, but her reactionary
Literally,
video,
reaction video is exactly what it was.
was addressing her BIPOC community in reference to the like specific tweets that had harmed the BIPOC community. And I guess like that's valid. Like I'm okay. But I honestly, one, we know that I love a video apology because I do want to see your fucking face. And this is a good example as to why, because like I was
Yes.
happy that I saw Taylor, because if I saw the shit she wrote, yeah, anyway, I'm happy that I saw her fucking face in that video. But I honestly, have I'm not blaming her for doing this because it's me, but
I
like
know
she
it's all
kind of
so
like,
hard. Everything I've been
but
saying, I'm just like, I feel like anything we say right
no, this
now,
isn't
I'm
even like
like,
that
I could
serious.
just be.
It's like she just like set me up to have high standards for her authenticity. Like if she
Yeah.
promoted herself in such a way that I was inclined to think that she was being her most authentic self and like was a person on a very very distrustful, not untrustworthy platform. Everyone fucking lies on Instagram. So when you find somebody that
Yeah.
you think is like a real ass bitch, you're
Yeah.
like, okay, cool. Like this is great. This is refreshing, and I trust this person.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that we aren't even. Anyway, I would have loved a written apology. Or not a written apology, another video. But I honestly just want her to say like, I knew that I had shitty views back then, and honestly, like I didn't realize it was even that bad. Like I needed to take a moment to reflect and like this is now a learning experience for me and like I thought that I had been dealt with it but like I actually didn't even realize the extent of it. So like I'm going to move forward from this now. I'm very very sorry for what I did. Done. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like more
Like
explanation
it,
is necessary, but like that's what I
right.
fucking want. I don't
It
want
didn't
the
need to be 30
excuses.
minutes.
I didn't
We
need to
didn't
be
need,
You didn't need to justify it to me. I don't care why you did it. I want to know that you're not going to do it again.
yeah. I I agree. I think that that's what's hard is that she
I'm
back
distraught.
to what they said on Chatty Broads. She did, or what you said they said because I didn't listen yet.
Yeah.
But what they said about how it's like she took the playbook from what not to do. Again, the nuance,
Been promoting.
the nuance of it all.
I just like
Because yeah, so I just feel bad because obviously Taylor, or not feel bad. I feel bad myself, not bad for her, but
right.
I am stressed because this is just a perfect lesson in intersectionality, right? I think that white feminism gets like shit on all the time. Like not to say I'm like this is very weird to say. White feminism is something that is shit on all the time for not being intersectional, which it should be because like feminism is intersectional. But this is almost the reverse. Like she's trying so hard to be anti-racist that she then is like forgetting that there was other shit involved that's not just related to racism. That yes is again back as I said earlier under the umbrella of white supremacy and things that can be perpetuated by it. But the fat phobia, like that doesn't stem from internalized racism. Like so all these things where it's like back to the importance of intersectionality. We need to work on as a collective being able to try and realize that like while we are right now and not to say this is bad, this is good, we are very focused on like BIPOC Black people. Like this has been a conversation who's very loud right now, which it should be because like again it's fucking important. But
the
I
squeaky
think that
wheel
it's
gets the grease,
important
baby.
also not to drown out the other things that are happening that are like against homophobia, against sexism, things that aren't. And so it's a struggle because I just wanted it to be not only about like it wasn't just about that. There was more involved.
Shannon knows about this because I had to tell her earlier, but I had a conversation with another podcaster in our DMs today.
Oh, God, I love Bachelor Nation podcast friends. Like
really like
so cool.
I was listening to the podcast and like I was listening to the podcast and I feel so just kind of like taking like diving into this little pocket for a fucking second.
More pockets.
more pockets really fast, and it'll be very quick and hopefully painless. I was struggling because like I was incredibly offended by the tweets, but like I was offended by a lot of them, all of them. I hated all of them, but I was like personally offended like greatly by like 2 to 3 of them. And those were the ones specifically that had to do with mental illness because not only am I mentally ill, but Taylor is a counselor and she promotes her practice or whatever it is that she does on her Instagram all the time. And as I said
Yeah.
earlier, like if I saw my therapist had ever like had that kind of mentality, I would no longer trust that therapist. That would be the um end of our relationship. But
I am breaking
I
up with my therapist.
want to say that I don't think it's one uncommon that like um I think that it is probably a very common feeling amongst people who are in a similar situation to me, that maybe you are right now feeling like you can't trust your trusted therapist because now you don't know what they're doing. Now you kind of feel like if this, you know what I mean? Like if you
Yeah.
are in a situation
Yeah.
similar to me and you are now feeling generally unsafe because of this, um I'm sorry.
Damn.
And your feelings about this
Yeah.
are very valid. And I'm only this is the thing that like I can speak out on. This is the thing that like I know about. So I don't, you know what I mean? Like I want to like offer the insight where I can, but like I hope you're okay. If you need to DM me, you can. And I'm very, very sorry. Because that's a big thing and
Yeah.
I'm incredibly sorry.
Yeah. And I think too that I think about the Reddit post you sent me, I think it was on Sunday, but it was about how like this is really bad for social justice community, like this situation with Taylor, because it creates an environment where people within the community, within a social justice community, have a trusted person within the community then deal with what's like get called
Yeah.
out for this. Like it's really, because immediately you're like, fuck, like again, back to I've learned from them. Or in like some cases, like, oh, maybe they've met her, like my friend, even my friend, like my friend who did the podcast with her, like shit like that, where you're just
Yeah.
like, there's a lot of, yeah, again, making it feel, it's just starting to feel unsafe. And so this happening is bad for the community because it's going to set social justice work back a little bit, at least within the Bachelor,
Silver
because
lining though,
ooh,
this is now a very good lesson to everybody, especially us allies, that it is time to share the workload. That way, this much weight will not be on one
yeah,
person.
yeah. Well, and I will say Taylor, I think, enjoys being a public voice of
I
this.
will not
I
argue
don't
that.
think that she has been projected into like, so Rachel Lindsay has been projected into doing this work, having to be the kind of spokesperson of all of this. Taylor has continuously, this is just even before all, like Taylor is someone who was very present and
She no no
making
no. She
herself
wanted to
present.
be
Yeah.
the yeah for sure for sure for
So,
sure. But like
and
for
that's,
us
oh, and
as
also back to
consumers,
astrology. Yeah.
yeah,
Back to astrology. Her sun and her Mercury, which by the way, she was born during a Mercury retrograde.
that's
So that
interesting.
means she has Mercury retrograde in her natal chart. So interesting how
Very
she
interesting.
reacted to this and then took it
Yes.
back to give us something else. That's retrograde, essentially defined. Like we imagine that's how what's happening with when things are going, when planets are retrograde. The planet, what usually the planet gives you, they either take it back or it puts it into like it's internal. So Taylor is someone who I think is always kind of very reactionary, and that's usually what is a good thing about her, because it seems like she's candid and forward of all that. But Scorpio rising, she is pretty calculated in what she wants to show. But her sun and her Mercury are in the ninth house, which is what fascinates me, because the ninth house is the house of our beliefs, and what we've learned in higher ed, essentially, that have now perpetuated into being the beliefs that we hold. And religion falls in the ninth house, astrology falls in the ninth house, all that, but political, like beliefs of any kind. So it's interesting to me that her sun, her identity, which is what the sun represents, literally it it is about her beliefs. She has made her mark, her like point on Instagram about talking about what she believes in,
Yeah.
educating people, and that ninth house education, like that's a very big moment. It's a very big theme there. So it's interesting to me that like that's her brand, literally her brand. The sun sign, imagine that's what your sun sign is your brand. Or maybe your Venus too. But anyway, so yeah, so sun and Venus probably, because the Venus is the image.
What's my
But
Venus?
the sun is like who you really are. But anyway, so she has all these beliefs, right? And her well, she's having transits right now in her fourth house, and she's in a fourth house here, which is messy because that's like that's about what I posted on the podcast Instagram about how she is having these themes of where she came from and is having to readdress them. And usually it does mean something direct with like your home or your family, but in this case it's beliefs that she has held because of her home and her family and where she came from. It's fascinating. And her Aries moons, every Aries moon should take a note from Taylor's moment to learn when not to speak, because that's the problem. This is a drag on Aries moons right now. Okay. I love y'all. I really do, because but Aries moons, y'all need to literally like that is peak emotional reactivity. That is Aries moon, because Aries is the first signs they're not someone who's thinking. They're not thinking straight through their feelings. Usually Aries moons get tired of thinking about their feelings and give up and then move on. But she literally like immediately reacted with feelings and crying and then yelling when you were like, why did she start yelling halfway through this video? I'm like, because she's an Aries moon. And like,
I was wondering. I was like, why are you so
that's
mad?
just how they communicate.
I'm mad at
So
you.
it's
What?
wild to me that she really, really perfectly illustrated her chart in her apology. And celebrities and public figures in general always just line up almost dead on with their charts because they're having to act out their chart in such a more public sphere. So sometimes like things that happen for any celebrity, you could think of literally anybody. And oh gosh, my favorite is always royal family. I love the royal family's charts. We have a chart for all of them. But they seem to just like act out the themes of their chart so much, public figures, because they're putting it out in the world more, and they're being perceived by more people. Which again also is that social, like, we were never meant to have this much social accountability. And that's, I think, the hardest part about all of this is Taylor and Rachel Kirkconnell and Chris Harrison, anybody, none of us were meant to have this many eyes on us at all the time. Even Chris Harrison when he was on television, it's one thing, but it is still a very contrived image of what you are on this television screen. It's not your life on Instagram, on Twitter, whatever. So we are now all perceiving these people so much more, like, and we are being perceived by so many more people, which is why likes mean so much to us. Oh my God, I'm now just basically repeating the social dilemma.
Like, I'm not here for, I don't fucking like it. Here I am putting myself in a public space saying that I don't like attention, but you know how it is.
Well, podcasts are one thing because it's public, but we can pretty much know who's listening to us. It's one of the 400 something people on Instagram. But
hey, listeners in Argentina.
Yeah. Oh my God. Hi. Yeah. We realize that there are people who are listening to us
literally all over the world. All
literally,
over. Not every continent, but most continents.
Do any of you guys want to get married so that I can leave America? Just kidding.
For
my
legal
girlfriend. You'd have to throuple marry me and my girlfriend so that we could have like citizenship elsewhere. No. If I wanted to move, I could.
Hello to all the listeners from all over the world. We see you.
We love you.
Very much.
But okay. Do you have any like closing thoughts? Because I kind of am getting to the point of feeling. I feel like I think I said everything that is in my mind, but I ultimately,
my closing thoughts are that I am saddened that this happened, and I'm sorry that there are people that had to be hurt by this. I hope that Taylor Nolan is able to mend some whatever fences are destroyed by this, but I hope that she's able to bounce back after a lot of honest conversations with herself and others.
Yeah.
Hoping for the best for her. Don't wish her anything ill, but that's that.
I just want to extend a a hug,
Yeah.
a COVID-free hug to everybody that was offended by what Taylor said, and to anybody who might have been offended by anything we said, because I don't. All of this is
Definitely wasn't my
so
intention.
crazy. Like, it's all of this is so
I'm absolutely open to
beyond.
constructive criticism. Please feel free to
Yeah,
DM me.
this is like so beyond what we're used to, and we never expected. Like when we were.
Did we
when
pick a good time to start a podcast?
We
or
literally
what, bro?
started this podcast like,
We
and
did
now
this.
we are unpacking intersectionality with an anti-racism fight. Like, what?
Honestly,
this is wild. It's wild. So
I am happy to be
anyway,
having these conversations on a more public forum instead of just like
oh yeah,
in
me
smaller
too.
rooms. I'm
And
glad
I
to
hope
be having
that
these
anybody
conversations
listening,
publicly.
I hope that anybody listening, if you know, I hope that something we said resonated or felt like maybe you feel heard, knowing that people agree with you with what you thought. Some of the things I feel like I said, like I'm the kind of person who I would say, I mean, Jess and I've had very candid conversations about this, which we haven't obviously repeated everything of that on this podcast, but there
That's
are
the
lots of
gist of it. This
things.
is the
Yeah.
summation. Yeah.
And there are some things that I've thought that I know are like not 100% great. Like I just, because it's again reactionary, but it's also me knowing that like I am trying my best to work through understanding all of it. Back to closing thoughts. Love y'all, and
that's it.
I'm always happy to talk about anything that's been discussed on this. So okay,
So now that we're done addressing all of that business,
yeah.
I guess we can just get into the tell-all, which
We can
was
talk about
the worst tell-all ever.
it was so goddamn boring. I only
my
have a
God.
couple of opinions, and I'm just gonna start. Wait, actually, I had to take notes. First of all, I was very annoyed because I watched on my Apple TV and the ABC app was being fucking annoying. Very weird. I was not able to sign in for my TV provider, so I had to watch it on my laptop. Hated it. So because I was watching it on my laptop, I had to take notes on my phone, which didn't like.
I have
so
but we mentioned it briefly earlier, and we'll make a note that it is very funny and not surprising at all that ABC felt that it was necessary to date the filming of this tell-all.
yeah.
That way we all, as viewers, there could be absolutely no mistaking that like, no, he did indeed say he would be stepping aside. This is old.
Yep, they literally had to make that claim, which makes sense. I get it.
That's really it. I tuned out most of what he said because I know that I am a viewer that knows that he adds fucking nothing. So I don't like pay attention when he's on my
literally
screen.
Honestly, I will say he only he only brings anything to the table on After the Final Rose, on Women Tell All, on these more stagey things.
Sure.
And because he has to be the interviewer, right? He has to be the interviewer. And then there's sometimes we get a funny little like quip where he'll make a face of being like, really? Or like, you know, he'll add his little personality. But that's where we get him the most. So it's just like, why do people think he's attached to the show? Whatever. They just talk. Yeah. So the drama is mostly talked about MJ and Jasenia first. And I noted that Mari jumps in and defends Jasenia.
That was Mari's Bachelor in Paradise audition. And it just read really
poorly. Oh my God. Yes. This was absolutely Mari was like, I'm going to be a Bachelor in Paradise. 100%. Put me on. Put me in, coach.
Yeah. It didn't. This whole thing was. It was bizarre. And like to cite Chatty Broads again, because they just so happened to mention this and they said it perfectly. Like the fact that there was no audience changes everything.
Yeah.
It changes fucking everything.
Because people aren't playing up to the audience as much. These women aren't feeling like they have to perform in front of an audience as much. It's a little more contrived. It's a little easier to assume that
how stupid do you feel yelling at one person instead of like 50? Like it's just
honestly, I will say this is an extremely hot take and a bad extremely it's funny.
I'm curious.
I think that Claire/Tasha's Men Tell All was better than this Women Tell All. Okay.
Oh, I hope that's not a hot take. If it is a hot take, we're on the same boat.
Because I thought it was such a bad Men Tell All, like so bad, because it
also,
was,
like,
again, no audience and no this, but it was like
I think that the producers or whoever, I don't know what was
they
filmed.
were
I don't know
trying
what
to make
actually
this
happened.
feel as much like the regular women tell all as normal. Like they were
I see,
trying to make
like,
this feel normal. It was mostly just like, yeah, MJ between blah blah blah. Then Ryan versus Victoria for a minute, and Victoria literally just does the same shit. She's like, she claims that Ryan is a little sensitive. Victoria says that she's getting hate, and like she gets memes about the bra strap and her eyes and all that stuff. So it's like she's like, I don't care. I just let it roll off, and then she then claims that Ryan's having an attitude with her even in this moment, and it then mimics, like it does a big microaggression. And it was literally Victoria goes, I was called a bully on TV, and Ryan's like, well, maybe you were. It was great. I just think that Victoria, anytime she spoke, she got laid into, and I was proud of that for everybody.
I guess I don't understand how you could possibly watch. I really don't know. I don't get it. I don't know how you could watch yourself on television and not come off of that
Yeah.
looking at yourself differently or like behaving differently. Like, I really, maybe this is all a fucking act and she's committed to this character. I truly do not know anymore.
If she's committed to the character, she's forgotten that she's a character. You know what I mean? Like she's
Yeah,
committed
no,
too
I
far.
know. That's what I mean. Like, I don't understand how she could have possibly watched that season. And regardless, like, you guys don't know what happened. It was edited, like producers, whatever. Like, the way she was perceived, you think that it would prompt her to behave differently, as she claimed she was. Like, she's like
Yep.
trying to preach all like love and light and all that bullshit on the show now, on the tell all. But like was
Yeah.
behaving like that with Ryan. Like, I don't
Yeah, the
understand.
Victoria stuff was so weird because then she, you know, they talk about it's kind of they start trying to. This is when they start bringing up the Katie stuff in the reference to Victoria and Katie's conversation
Yeah.
on the show, and Katie or Victoria keeps just trying to play up. She's like, "Well, all of us are getting hate. We're all getting hate. We're all getting hate. Like, namaste, girls. Like, let's all be together in this. Like, we're all getting hate from everybody." And it's like,
Not all hate is created equal, man.
yeah, and also not all hate is justified. Like some people are getting hate from the season because they're black and people are racist. Victoria, you're getting hate from the season because you're a fucking shithead and you were a shithead on the show and you just need to own up to it. That being said, I thought Victoria looked hot. I liked her outfit. It's
I think
was
all
a
the women were very
random
well
outfit,
dressed.
but I was into it. Yeah.
I didn't
Wait, okay.
not like anyone's outfit, I don't think.
Oh, and then Abigail and Brittany matching was funny in the same outfit.
I didn't, I made a note it
They
was similar.
posted, one of them posted a photo of the two of them side by side, and it's like it is the
The
same
blazer
outfit.
dress too.
They were
Okay.
posing together like, haha, we're matching.
That's so
Like,
funny.
yeah.
Bound to happen
But
whenever
this
things are
is when
trendy.
Katie starts talking about like kind of like the bullying things, and this is when I
Yeah.
start having a moment where I'm a little peeved because
Tell me why.
people I really like, such as Chelsea and Piper, both seem to bring up saying that they're unhappy that it was brought up that the house wasn't toxic, that they're really leaning into the toxic word, which is annoying because I always a common tactic in like arguing and also defending like things like this is to nitpick one particular like word and be like, you said it was toxic, it was toxic, over and over and over. Toxic bullying, like both of those two words, right? When I wouldn't say the house, all of them were toxic. And Katie tried to say that. She's literally like, I'm not trying to say like all of us were all being that way. Or and Kayla too was like, even though you do, you still say it. Like they all were just jumping on Katie because Katie called them out and rightfully so got people eliminated for being bitches. Like, and these women decided all of a sudden that it was Katie's problem. And this is where I was having thoughts. So obviously everybody's like trying to say, oh, there's more to it. You don't really know what happened, la la la.
Yeah.
But part of me just feels like Katie was ostracized from that moment of calling out the bullying, which was actually happening. Bullying was happening. Toxicity was happening. Whether these women want to fucking believe it or not, those things were
Well, that's the
happening.
thing. Yeah, like who are they to tell? Circling it back to my mental illness
Huh?
Love centering myself. Um,
Leo.
I'm incredibly anxious. So if I'm in your apartment and I see you or I'm sitting next to you and Olivia, and you and Olivia are like talking poorly about each other, I'm not involved. I have nothing to fucking do with it. I don't know what's going on. I, as an anxious human being, am now sitting there and saying, like, okay, well, I'm now uncomfortable because I'm in a
Yeah.
tense environment, but also, like, there are layers to how people perceive things. And, like, as an anxious person, I'm also now thinking, like, oh shit, when I leave this apartment, are they gonna like tear into me? Like, are they just gonna start, you know what I mean? And, like, I'm not gonna sit there and like defend Katie per se, but like, I don't know how anyone can tell her that the situation just because it wasn't toxic for you doesn't mean that it felt toxic for her, whether she was like directly involved in shit or not. Like,
Yeah.
you get
And
vibes from a room. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like,
right. Right. Oh, yeah. Yes. I see what you mean now. Yeah. Like, for instance, yeah, Kayla was trying to say, well, you're saying the house is toxic and like it wasn't toxic. Well, Katie's like, well, it was pretty toxic to me. Like, people were pretty shitty to
I did
me.
not feel comfortable here.
Yeah.
Watching you
So,
be shitty to each other
yeah.
made me feel uncomfortable,
And
regardless if she's
so this
involved or
is
not.
why it bothers me because it's
But I
like,
also don't know.
Katie, yeah, well, that's again, fucking editing. We don't know shit. We don't know what happened actually. We don't know what really
Right.
happened, says the women. But like, you know what I
Tell us
do know?
then.
But A, tell us, women tell all, or whatever. But also B, like, I have it, like, look, I find it very hard to believe from what I saw. Even some of the stuff that, yeah, sure, edit, whatever, we're all edited. But I find it very hard to believe that Katie was like doing something on the sidelines that was shitty to people, other than just being like, hey, maybe it's not like, I would say, and being a little aggressive with her, be forward in her being like, hey, y'all shouldn't do that. But to me, it doesn't seem like, it just seems like everybody was probably pissed that she was a party pooper. That's what it
I
sounds like.
This might be like a Mandela effect type thing because I feel like I have a vague memory of it, but I don't
Right.
remember it
This
confidently.
show also tried to give
But
us so much other shit. Ugh.
um somebody pointed out, and like after like I said, it's a tricky situation because like after somebody pointed out, I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. We got one of the previews before the season started of do you remember that in the preview someone said the phrase sugar baby and then we never heard someone say sugar baby on the show?
Oh, yeah, when Katie did say
Katie was
something like
the one
that.
so someone pointed out that like clearly whether she was involved in like the malicious side of it or not, like she clearly was
I think that
involved.
what
They
well,
cut it
I kind
out.
of think it might have been just because of, again, what we also saw of Katie. So in that preview, I think that it makes sense that she was saying it, but it didn't sound from the tone and what she was discussing in it that
It
she
could have
was
been
saying it in
Frank and
like
Mike.
because when you saw Anna say entertaining men for money,
Money.
it
I
was
can't not see
very
that.
clearly the tone of like,
A judge. You're coming
that's
from
a
a
rumor
judgmental
spreader.
place.
Whereas
Yeah.
Katie sounded like it was more of a, I don't know, I've heard the term sugar baby thrown around, like, because that is what, wait.
Oh yeah,
Remember
that's what it was.
Brittany's hot seat. Yes. She says, I've heard the term sugar baby thrown around or said before. So
Yeah,
what
yeah,
Katie, I
yeah.
think, was mentioning too is what Brittany mentioned in her hot seat, which was when Brittany was like, and then I heard the things you were telling other women in the house about me, and the other women were talking about me. And that's why I think like we were only probably seeing Anna, MJ, like those people because they were probably the most vocal.
The
Whereas
core.
Katie
Yeah.
seemed like she was, and again, I'm the optimist here. I'm the one who wants to also, and I'm also the one who likes Katie and genuinely wants the like
I like her.
good for her. So it's like also she gave us her full chart. So like shout out.
We are more inclined to like you if you're nice to us, but that's just like
Yeah.
how humans work.
But also like I'm just looking at her internet presence and looking at her TikTok and all this shit. And I'm just like, I think people are just I really think that people got pissed that she was being the drama party pooper. And it's funny because she's
Like no one
older
likes being
than,
called out. Like if you don't think
yeah,
you're
I
dramatic and
get it.
someone's like you're starting drama, like that's like a lot of people would probably get defensive. But
Yeah.
I just I'm frustrated because we talk about all the time the fact that like producers are a thing, producer manipulation's a thing, fucking editing, like yeah,
Like women,
great,
if there's
we
something
fucking
going
get it.
on, show us, tell
But you're
us.
at the women tell all, and if so here's how I'm thinking about it. This is where I stand. If I'm a contestant on this show and I genuinely think that like I know things that would, Katie was the shit stirrer, like Katie was the fucking arsonist, Serena had a point, like whatever. If I'm one of those women and I go to the women tell all and producers tell me that I can't talk about it, red flag, and I'm going to remember that when my fucking contract is up. You know what I mean? And if I'm in
Yeah.
my comments and someone's advising me not to talk about it, like I expect now, I mean, maybe no one's going to care when they're up on their contract. You know what I mean? Like maybe
Yeah,
it's
2
going
years
to be
from
swept under
now.
the rug. No one's going to give a fuck. But if this is like still somewhat a topic of conversation and like someone does fucking care about it, in 2 years, I kind of expect these women to be like, nobody should go on this show. This
Yeah.
show is not fucking legit. Nobody should sign up to be on this show. Goods not
Misa,
as
shut up.
advertised.
My cat is having a
You know what
moment
I
to
mean?
say.
Like
Yeah.
if you really are being like that stifled and like made to look bad by producers who do not give a fuck about you, then please speak out on the process, the show, the whatever is responsible. Do it. Speak out on it when you're legally allowed to, and then you can prevent other women from or other people in general from experiencing the exact same thing. And then the show will be
Yeah.
fucking over and the toxicity will be gone. Done. Boom. Roasted.
Yep.
Like
So
it just doesn't make sense to me why they would all be so like vague and cryptic in the comments, like, well, only some of us will ever know. Why?
honestly,
Why?
because in my
Other than the fact that we're
opinion,
talking about it.
back to these women were mad. They got called out. They ostracized Katie. Katie, who is also slightly older than a lot of the women there. And I say slightly because she's been through her Saturn return, so she is at least 30. Some of these women are in there, especially some of the ones that were going up against her aren't younger than her, so she's older. So it's like all these factors of like they ostracized Katie, and now they have their own. So they've created their own narrative, whatever it may be, and they are perpetuating it within themselves, and they're giving us hints. Oh, well, only I could tell you, couldn't tell, can't tell. They don't actually have anything. And this is my thought. They don't probably actually have anything against her other than the fact that they're pissed that she fucking called them out. And so that's that for them. And then they just decided to gang up on her because that's how it felt on the show. Like all of a sudden they were all agreeing. Yeah. So anyway, I'm just bummed. And I just think that I also too think that Katie is one of the only is like the earthiest of earth sign contestants on the show. And I really do think that sorry, earth signs, but there's the stereotype against earth signs being boring and party pooper type people that have been always been able to just kind of be like, well, I don't want to go. I don't want to leave my house. I don't want to do that. I want to do my thing. I don't want to stop working. I don't, you know what I mean? Like something along those earth sign, there's millions of fucking stereotypes. And so it's kind of funny to me that like with that in mind, the earthiest person on the cast is kind of the one who's like against is ostracized from them. It is also trying to literally ground the house. Like is literally trying to be like, hey guys, it's a little chaotic. We're, making fun of these new women who've come in and no one for no reason. Like, do we have to do that? Like, and then so it's funny that she's been in this position. So that's all I'm gonna say about that. Because then it goes on to Brittany. And that's what, again, back to Brittany and Katie were people who were talking to each other. Brittany was talking to Katie about her stuff, which is another reason that Katie might have said the term sugar baby, being like, yeah, I was talking to Brittany and she said that she heard the word sugar baby thrown around. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like it could have been flipped so quick. But anyway, it's interesting to me that Brittany's like, yeah, and when you told other people in the house, talking to Anna, which Anna was looking like a full-blown politician's wife on her fucking like apology tour with her husband who was problematic on his term or something. You know what I mean? Like that's what the pearls and the brown dress, the veneers.
Did you think that it was like, did you think that it was fucking crazy that in all of the time that's passed, she didn't reach out to Brittany once?
I was I literally thought I misheard. Like I went through the whole thing thinking I just misheard that
I
was the
was
case.
full. I was
But
when Brittany said that, I was like,
Anna's silence during Instagram those 2-3 weeks when she was kicked off and after, that makes sense that she just didn't fucking say shit. She said something
I
publicly.
cannot believe.
Like Anna posted a public apology, but she didn't say anything directly to Brittany. That is
That, I mean,
that
I'm
is like
less
rule
inclined to
number
believe the
1, girl. You
apology.
apologize personally.
Imagine if like one of us said something super fucked up to the other on this podcast, and I like made a statement on the Instagram, but like never texted you.
Literally. That
In
would be
what
obscene.
fucking world? In what?
And it's funny to me because
I don't think you're sorry now. If you don't reach
so-
out to the affected party, then like who the fuck are you apologizing to?
Yeah, it's interesting to me too because Gemini versus Aquarius, both of them are air signs. Gemini is Anna and Aquarius for Brittany. And the Aquarius is the one who kind of left in the dust, like literally for abandoned. It was like, okay. But Gemini is like, but I do need to apologize, like, so people like me again. Or at least
That's
could
it, though.
like
It's like
me.
she wasn't apologizing to Brittany. She was apologizing for the sake of her
To the
reputation.
Instagram. She was
She's not
apologizing to the
fucking sorry.
fans for hearing her perpetuating those lies about sex work.
But
it was really
want
shitty.
to believe
Also,
people, man.
when you
I
said,
want
I think you
to believe
texted it to
them.
me, or maybe it was in my Clubhouse. I've started being on a Clubhouse room with my friends talking about The Bachelor while it's airing.
Invite me. I have Clubhouse.
I want to, but I also want our discussions to be like
Fine.
but I also
I
want
get it.
you to
No,
join
I get
us.
it. It's fine.
But it's like but then I talk about all the stuff and then we don't have anything to talk
What
about.
about it, Shannon? What did you say in your Clubhouse that I was invited to?
I love you. Okay, I think it was you know what's funny is I feel like I
Spit
forgot
it
about
out.
it. Brittany
Oh, yeah.
was so close to trying to, like, she was trying really hard to say like sex work is real work. Like I think it's okay. Like y'all should not be fucking with that shit, because she was literally like, I respect sex work. It's just not me. Like it's just not who I am.
But
like,
the fact that she turned around and basically said like, and to be completely honest with you, so what if I was? Does that mean that I don't deserve to find love with Matt? Is it like everyone, regardless of their, like everyone deserves to find love regardless of their profession, and sex work is a real profession. So like, what the fuck about?
Brittany's Paradise audition was A+.
I'm obsessed with her. No, to be honest, like regardless of it just so happened that the content, like what she was saying was music to my fucking ears. It's just like, that's the type of presence that I live for on this show, is like that, like, I don't fucking care about decorum. Like, I'm not an asshole, but I'm also, this is not like a completely fabricated version of my personality.
Yeah.
Like, I want to see like nice or like decent and real people. And I feel like we only ever get shitty people or like people that are so curated that it's fucking fake.
Yeah.
More people like Brittany. More people
Literally,
like most of the women on this season.
I really loved
not
Brittany.
all of them.
Yeah, I don't know.
But most of them.
Amend Maggie and Abigail and Brittany and anyway, so after Brittany's hot seat, it was again, Mari also stepped in for the Brittany thing. Mari was literally trying to make, she was the little talking head in the group of women. She stepped in and was like, what was the intention, Anna?
I get it, because I bet that like Mari was sitting at home watching the show and she's like, I'm gonna fucking ask her about that.
Well, also it's funny because I think Mari is, I think I made the joke already too, that Mari is someone, they brought her in and they had her win all the group dates and then she fucking left. Like, I think she was kind of like, you know what? I'm gonna be in here. I'm gonna say what I want to say because I should have been on longer. But it was funny. All right. Oh, and the other thing too about Brittany is obviously she's like, Brittany says that she, you know, she's bummed that her Google results for her name are all like Brittany Galvin accused of this, whatever. And then when Anna speaks, she said this thing that I thought was so annoying. She goes, and I've been getting a little glimmer of it, aka hate. And it's just funny because all of these women felt the need to say that they've been getting, like, all of the women who are accused of shitty stuff have the need to say, well, I've been getting hate too. Well, I'm like, you're getting hate because you did something bad. A lot of these women aren't getting hate for doing anything wrong. So
They're just getting hate because
it's
people
fucking
are
annoying.
hateful.
But yeah, anyway, after that, honestly, I did kind of like the structure of this Women Tell All because I felt like most of the drama bullshit was all in the front. And then they gave us hot seats. So after the Britney thing, it was the phantom dates. We got all that footage. We finally got footage of the dates they cut out. And they kind of tried to make it the funny thing, like, haha, these didn't make the cut. Why? Into the TikTok sound, the where it's quiet and then it's like ding 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 ding. Because I'm literally like, why didn't they make the cut? They could have made the cut. We didn't have to include 3 episodes of Britney drama. We didn't have to include Victoria saying everybody was a fucking crazy person the whole time. Like, why, Bachelor? Why?
They literally had a whole fucking episode basically dedicated to irrelevant Sarah Trott. And I missed 3 group dates. Granted, I'm given the fact that this was like a really fucking boring season, I'm not totally mad that I missed out on that hide and seek date because like I feel like if I had seen that, I would have been pissed that they were making me watch it.
Yeah, I also am. I can't believe we missed out on the chugging beer and eating pancakes on the Ben Higgins obstacle course.
Also,
I think obviously the worst thing that was left out and should have been included was JoJo and Tayshia
eating spicy things. That's fucking hilarious.
And also the spicy date is integral in the beloved game. We missed the spicy date of people eating uncomfortable things. Oh, and then there was the date with the bugs and getting the rings,
which I don't know.
Which I kind of hated a lot.
That seems to be the common reaction is people are like, I didn't miss this. Like, that's fine that you didn't show this.
That's fine.
The chugging, I have a whole thing about, but like, I think that the beer chugging thing was funny and I wish we had seen it because like, that's a Matt James hobby. That's like Matt James' preferred method.
He was literally so like, I thought that made so much sense for him.
Me too.
You gotta be able to chug beer and eat these pancakes because I'm gonna be chugging a lot of beer at these football games.
I was literally just thinking that. I was like, we watched him dump an entire beer on his fucking face. Like, we know he lives for that shit. Why didn't we get to see? Why didn't we see Matt James's personality? Like, truly, what are the producers trying to do with this show? Because this season was fucked. And now we just learned that they had all of the shit that we wanted to see the whole fucking time. And they withheld it on purpose for fucking
they just gave us all this other bullshit. Doesn't matter.
For what?
But yeah, then they chug eggs and MJ says that eggs and birds are her fear. And goats, I guess, also.
Well, that makes the chicken thing make a lot more sense if that's true.
Yep. So anyway, then we get Katie in the hot seat. And all this is just a Bachelorette edit. This is actually, though, Katie, Abigail, and Loki, Piper, and Serena P. They just sit them down, the 4 of them, and go through their little stories go through their love story and their breakups and how sad they are. And
can I tell you why I think that is?
Well, because they want to set up these women to being potential bachelorettes so that they could have this like little reminder of the
but I think that they have given all those women ample time because I actually don't think that they even fucking know who they're going to pick yet. I think that truly and genuinely, like, the fans are going to be unintentionally picking the Bachelorette and they're waiting to gauge people's reactions to pick like the people pleasing.
Yeah, and I'm annoyed by that.
Me too.
I am annoyed by that.
That's not the case, but I strongly feel as though
I can see that. I would not
keeping their options open.
Piper. I don't want Serena P as the Bachelorette because she is not over her ex. We already discussed that last episode. Piper would be fine, but Piper isn't ready to be the Bachelorette. She's way too closed up. You know what I mean?
That exit was not Bachelorette exit. That was Paradise exit.
Abigail and Katie of the 2 hot seats are my strongest contenders for like full-blown Bachelorette. Katie gets the full-blown, like, we get like extra footage of her and Matt being cute on a skateboard. We get actual personality. We show Katie like wanting
edit. Yeah.
Yes, they show Katie like laying a kiss on Matt for the first time. We get like all this stuff. And then obviously the exit when she's surprised by the breakup, which after seeing the footage prior that we didn't see, what's fascinating is most of the footage we see of all these dates is like stuff we hadn't seen on the show because there's so much footage they didn't give us. But then she's crying and literally she says this thing that I wanted to literally I want to punch everybody in the face who made her feel this way. She's like, I know my personality is a lot to handle, but he accepted it and like made me feel really seen and whatever. And I'm just like, you, you're not a lot, Katie. A lot.
It's really not.
And it's funny because that phrase a lot or whatever, big personality, is usually coded for fire sign language. Like people, especially women, fire sign women are often told, especially when they're young, yes, that you're a lot, which yeah, a lot of them are, but not in a bad way. But with Katie, it's like funny, she's a Sagittarius Mercury, and Sagittarius Mercuries are very up, like just fucking saying it. They're ready to say whatever the fuck they want to say. And so it does seem like it could maybe be perceived to her as like a lot, but Katie, that's why I think something else is going on in a way that it's like making Katie doesn't, she's like, I'm a lot. Oh, like what are they saying to her? What's going on? Protect her. And if she's problematic and did something like racist or bad in the house or something, I fucking hope not. I don't think she would. She really doesn't seem like the kind of person, but who knows? I don't know. I'm just really stressed, and I hope that she's fine because she seems to be getting the best of all of the Bachelorette edit. All right. Well, Abigail has her hot seat, and I was told by my friend that apparently Abigail is Korean or half Korean.
Yes.
Her dad's Korean. I did not know. Yeah. Anyway, okay. We get Abigail's little flashbacks, and then Abigail and Brittany are obviously wearing the same clothes. Let's see. It's just she talks about. What I think that was the most interesting about Abigail's hot seat is when she was discussing she's like, I'm in this weird gray area as far as my disability. She says that she's not like technically a member of the capital D deaf community. I love that she made that like that little subtle reference to be like, no, like this is a community, like the deaf community, capital D. But she says that she's not like a member of the deaf community because she can hear and she doesn't sign. And that is apparently like the division is that like the deaf community uses sign language. So she was like, but she's also like, she goes, if I'm not, she's like, if I don't have my implant on, or if I take my implant out, I wouldn't be able to hear. So it's this interesting, she's like, I was just living in this interesting gray area. And then they showed her like tweets that were like in support of her, freaking out over her. Basically, it was literally just like Chris Harrison being like, yay, we loved having a deaf person on, or a hard of hearing or hearing impaired. I missed whatever she said that she calls herself. But anyway, she said she was unsure how people would perceive her. Great. That was that. Piper's hot seat. Piper is the one who I think is like, was trying to play the like, I'm sad after this breakup, because she was like, I was so hyper focused on my relationship. I was so blindsided that he liked other people before more than me. And Chris was kind of trying to be like, do you really not care anymore, kind of thing? And she's like, well, I was in shock when she left. I don't know. This part I was just getting bored. Piper said that she was in love with Matt, and she didn't tell him that, which makes sense. She was trying to wait. She was waiting to keep that for her gameplay move later. She couldn't just drop out that she was in love with him. Can't Hail Mary it. But that was that. And then Serena P.
And I did think that this was like you said, it's a little clear that she's not like totally 100% ready. But then again, I can't think of a single fucking lead in the last like 10 years that's actually been ready. Oh, so that's okay. No. I can look past that.
If anything, they'll really be able to they'd be able to bring her ex back as a character.
Yeah, I thought that this was actually like a very good, after her hot seat, I would not be disappointed by any means. I'm still voting for Michelle. That's still my go-to. That would be a great
Bachelorette.
That's still my number one choice, but I would not be disappointed if they selected Serena.
Yeah.
Not at all.
But Yeah, Serena P really didn't say anything new to me. I have literally like 4 notes on her, and it's all just like
Well,
stuff
then they
that.
bring Matt out though.
Yeah, and then we get Matt, and immediately a sports reference, and they all call him James Harden because of his bald head and his beard.
Beard, yeah.
Which, Jess, what do you think about the beard?
I think Matt James looks much better with the beard.
I agree.
I
It's
am
so
knocking the
funny
beard.
because people think it's so gross and so bad, and I like it. I think it's great, and also anybody who thinks it's unkempt, it's actually very well kept. He is black man with curly beard hair.
I also so
It's
when
great.
I
It looks
saw him
great on
come
him.
out, we knew that he had a beard because they had it in all the previews, right? Like
Yeah, and also
like a
we've
big
seen him on his
reveal.
Instagram, and he's
Yeah.
grown it out. Yeah.
But when he came out on the stage, I remember tweeting like, this might be an unpopular opinion, but like I actually really like this. Like I think that this suits him quite well.
I
And
think
then
it
I'm
does.
scrolling through, and maybe it was on Twitter, maybe it's who I follow or whatever. I did not see a single negative reaction to the beard. And then I had to
Oh,
backtrack, and I was like, okay, maybe it's not an unpopular opinion. Like, oh fuck, like people seem
good. I hope not.
yeah.
I think it looks great on him. I did see a joke though about how a photo of him, and they were like, "This is not a man who's single."
So
I mean, who's not
sure.
single, who's together. Sorry, I meant the flip. Whoops.
I knew what you
I
meant.
literally meant this is a man who is single, basically, because of the way that he looks.
But
Even though I would love it, I would date him immediately if he
I
wore that.
actually don't agree
Oh, you think that he's
because
not single because of the beard?
I think he could be single.
Fascinating.
However, I see a beard, and that doesn't strike me. It doesn't strike me as out of the realm of possibility that that's the beard of a man in a long distance relationship.
Yeah, I was gonna say a comfortable beard, a comfortable
Yeah,
man,
because he doesn't. He's
because
not with whoever his
that's why
person is right
men
now.
also not hot take. This makes sense. Men who shave their beards are usually doing it when they're single because most often women don't like the beard, even though I love a beard. We love a
Anyway,
beard. So, he mentions the vibrator. Nothing can prepare me for walking into a vibrator. Right? But he kind of said that he's like, well, I expect a certain amount of drama because we're all dating the same person, or they're all dating one person. Says he tries to not hold them to an unrealistic standard, and it's like it is what it is. Essentially, about all of the drama, the toxicity, bullying, whatever the fuck, which is so Sagittarius, like the most Sagittarius answer ever. He's like, I don't judge because I've been a dick. So
I also just don't. I don't trust Matt James's judge of character.
I absolutely not.
When all the women were like,
He said,
like
Victoria, you have a good heart. I know your heart.
I know
He
you
starts
have a good
saying
heart.
all these things to all the women who were shitheads, and I was like, bro,
But,
not a
like,
great look.
Even best case scenario, like he did have good experiences with them. Like Matt James, listen here.
Yeah.
You are best friends with one good Tyler Cameron. And Tyler Cameron is, in my opinion, one of the biggest frauds in Bachelor history. And in your mind, Tyler Cameron's a good dude. You do know him better than me, but I don't trust I don't trust your judgment. I can't.
And then Serena C turns around and is like, don't see us in a bad light, Matt. These
Why do you
women are
even
still
care?
trying to impress this man.
Yeah, like what? He dumped you, girl.
Embarrassing.
Who gives a shit?
Embarrassing.
Don't worry
He's
about
like,
it.
yeah, I'm not perfect, so I don't judge anyone. Then Victoria says she's grateful for him, says it's hard watching the show back because of the drama, says she thinks that they could have had a bigger, better shot without it. Says she didn't like how he said something about her. I forgot what this was, but it was dumb. She found a way to make him apologize to her on this for nothing. For nothing.
Oh no. It's because, do you not remember? Because this had to have been filmed after Victoria's exit aired, or they must have gotten a pre-screening, because when all this shit went down with Victoria and the women, Matt said that stuff about like not knowing her character and not knowing her heart, and like I'm embarrassed, like, whatever he said about like,
well, whatever. But whatever, he said he dropped the ball on the relationship with Victoria, which again, back to, but buddy, you're not looking good. Katie said that she didn't have a chance for a real goodbye. She says thanks for handling her and her situation and accepting her as me and accepting her fun side. Back to, she's just being like, you thought I was great. I'm like, yeah, I don't see why you weren't great. Abigail said something, and then there was like nothing. And then Piper asked for closure, asks what led to Piper leaving. The classic one who's like, why did I leave? And he's like, I liked other women better than you. And then Matt told Serena P that his breakup with her was hard when basically literally said nothing else. It was dumb.
Yeah,
Serena repeats again,
he loved
like
her.
all the women are here for
I think that she would have been the one if she had stayed. I think that Matt would have picked her.
It's like wild. And then Serena goes, I hope you're happy today, Matt. Case.
No,
and then we finally get bloopers, which
do you remember me talking about how I feel about bloopers when we did Claire and Tayshia's season?
Yeah, they just like love to do it. They love it. It was mostly just
bloopers ever. They're not.
No, they're not. Yeah, it was mostly Serena P and Matt with farm animals, and then we had Bree put champagne on her face because she like drank it too fast. There was lots of bugs flying around. JoJo and Tayshia were on the bloopers eating the spicy stuff. This is where we got JoJo and Tayshia only, and they made jokes on their Instagrams, both of them, about being like, haha, well, I guess we made the bloopers.
I quarantined and took how many COVID tests for this shit?
To be in the fucking bloopers, honestly.
Yeah, what the fuck?
So pissed. We had Carolyn ripping her dress, a lot of head bumps and trips and general clumsiness. Cassandra, you're right.
We both did. Yeah,
there is Carolyn though is another one.
Carolyn was the late girl, the one that came in late.
Then Matt,
no, that's not true.
Matt admitted to having a fucking boner because he was staring at Serena P getting out of the hot tub, and he goes, "I'm gonna need a towel before I get out." And that to me just confirms too that even if he wasn't gonna pick her, he wanted to fuck her.
Dude, he would have selected Serena. No one can tell me otherwise. I don't care that it was a blooper, and I don't care that it didn't make the show. I'm happy that we got to see this literally at all. Yeah, this was one of the funniest fucking moments, and I want more of this. Less drama, more Matt having a boner.
Please. Honestly, agree. And then after that, Chris kind of closes us out, and he's basically like, well, hopefully soon we'll have an audience. Yay. Basically referencing after the final rose. And he's like, I miss an audience. How do you, Chris? How do you? And then we'll be together. We finally get the fucking preview for next episode, which is all the women saying they love him. Matt says he's not sure what he's going to do. Rachel's jealous. And then I am so angry that they are about to do this.
Dude,
I am physically angry. I screamed when I saw Matt speaking to his fucking father. I wanted to literally end. I wanted to end it all with those producers. Fuck them. Literally fuck
tweeted
them for this.
That this was the only time in my time watching this television show, in the years that I have watched this franchise, this is the one and only time that they've gotten me with a legitimate fucking plot twist, and I am infuriated that it was this.
Yep, same, because they actively didn't tell you anything about it. They didn't tell us anything. But you know what I think now, though? Because of this dad reference, I absolutely think that Matt crying or something is going to be about his dad,
right? Yeah,
I don't think it's going to be about any of the women. Unless one of the women like wants to self-eliminate again, one of them. But I genuinely think that it's now about his dad, and I think it's Chris sitting down. Well, what do we want to do now? Do you want to continue with the dates, or do you want to go? Like, I don't think it's. Well, because to me, I'm like, you're really. I can't believe they brought his father on.
No, me too.
And now it makes sense as to why his mom is saying, "Well, love isn't everything" or whatever, because of the dad's there.
She knew.
I'm pissed. Whatever it is, I'm pissed.
His mom knew that it was coming.
The next episode's gonna piss me off.
It was funny that you mentioned Matt being upset about his dad, because I remember seeing him cry when they did the preview initially before we saw his father appear, and I remember thinking like, I bet Rachel's, because they showed Rachel being jealous. I was like, I bet Rachel's gonna be like really, really jealous and like self-eliminate, and it's gonna be like that. Oh, I want to leave, but like, because the same thing that she threatened earlier,
and he actually convinces her to stay. Like, he wins.
Right, and he's gonna convince her to stay, of course, and that's what I thought it was, and like that seemed very, very within the realm of possibility. And then as soon as I saw his dad and you see him get emotional, I'm like, that's classic Bachelor, is to like take two clips from the same moment and like pretend like they're from two separate times. You know what I mean? Like milk the milk the cheers for all they're worth. Got to see if we
Yep,
can relate it to
milk
more than one
it.
situation. But I was upset. I was actually really, when I saw his dad on the screen,
I'm not excited for whatever this ends up being, because no matter what, they are the show is really trying with the narrative of,
the absent black father.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absent black dad.
Yep.
So I'm not excited, but we'll see.
Especially given the context the lack of context they provided for that conversation. Like, it really, Matt James, I know you're not listening, but if by the odd chance that you ever happen to hear this, like, I hope that you're okay. I hope that wasn't as traumatic as it looked.
They
truly
exploited the fuck out of you.
I hope that you're like well in that moment and in the moments following, because I'm telling you, dude, if the people from this specific season don't come off contract and say, like, don't ever go on this fucking show, I'm gonna be shocked. If there aren't like so many negative, because I have a feeling with Paradise and how fast it moves, people tend to still be in Bachelor Nation when their contracts are up, right? Like, that seems to be the running theme.
Yeah. That's why Dylan Barber had his Twitter meltdown. His contract is up.
Because it'll be interesting if they don't speak out after their contracts are up, and this is just a case of ABC being fucking moronic and making themselves look even worse than they actually are, which is just stupid. That's unfathomably stupid. So I don't know if that's the case. But anyway.
Yeah, anyway, then we have Victoria's on the credit scenes, and they just edit her about how many times she says literally.
Which is far too many.
Way too many, but whatever.
Far too many.
Wow, what a fucking episode. We did it. We made it.
Looks like we made it. Look how far we've come, my baby.
Wow. Yeah. All right, guys. Yeah. Wow. This is Do the Rez's Line, and this is the episode that we talked about the least amount of astrology.
But still a good amount considering nothing fucking happened, to be completely honest. Got a good chunk in there. I
got good chunk in on Taylor astrology. That's who got the most of it. But
nothing happened during the tell-all. Like, what really is there to?
Yeah.
Follow the socials. We'll link them. Like, rate, subscribe, all of the usual things that we say.
And if you have anything we want to add to say about this episode, just DM us and we'll chat about it. We are ever learning, loving, living, laughing, loving, learning.
Wait, what is it? Like,
live, laugh, love, learn. It's the white lady.
Right.
Wow.
Thanks for suffering through that with us, guys. We appreciate you.
Yeah, and hopefully, fuck, I would love for things to calm down, but After the Final Rose is gonna be lit, because we didn't even mention that the host of After the Final Rose was announced, and it is Emmanuel Acho. It looks like Achu, but with one O. Anyway, he is the author of the book Uncomfortable Conversations with the Black Man, which is the book that Rachel Kirkconnell was reading on her Instagram story the other day. And that just makes me wonder, how long it's been known that he's the host, and if we just got the announcement later.
Or they prepped Rachel
with like reading material and just so happened to give her the author as the host, whatever. But either way, it's intriguing to me. He is an ex-NFL player. He's a sports psychologist. He does all of these conversations with white people and as a Black person. And I'm very interested to see how it goes. I am optimistic, but it's also, he has a very specific brand, and so his brand fits with what the show needs right now.
Yeah.
And so we'll see.
Yes.
We shall see. We have a couple episodes to do it, but we got to get there and we'll make it. It'll happen.
We will. And in the time being, do cool anti-racist work.
Yeah.
Hold people accountable, but don't harass them. And
and everybody else, take a break from your phone. Take a break from your phone, myself included, all of us.
I issue everyone a challenge to come back to our episode next week being a better person than you are listening to it right now.
Hell yeah. All right, Jess. Talk to you next time.
Talk to you next time.